The day my wife gave birth to her terminally ill ex-boyfriend's child, I was at the hospital, but not for her. Her parents had brought 10 men to guard the delivery room like it was a crime scene. Even after the birth, I didn't cause a scene. I just stood back and watched, numb. My mother-in-law gently held Laura's hand and whispered, "Don't worry, sweetheart. As long as we're here, we won't let him near you." Her father added, "I've got people stationed at every entrance. If he dares show up, we'll call the police." Laura, pale and weak, gave a faint nod, but her eyes scanned the elevator, searching for me. All she found was silence. And that's when she finally relaxed. She never could understand me. All I ever wanted was to support her, to help her give James something to remember him by. Why wasn't that enough? She smiled as the nurse placed the newborn in her arms, and in her heart she thought, if Claude visits tomorrow, maybe I'll forgive him. Maybe he can even be the baby's father. But she didn't know. I had just submitted my paperwork to the United Nations. In 7 days, I'd renounce my citizenship, leave everything behind, and disappear. I'd become a stateless doctor, far from everything and everyone I knew. The day Laura left the postpartum center, I had just finished my hospital shift. As I walked up to the house, I could hear laughter spilling from inside, warm, familiar, and painful. "She's so beautiful. She's got her father's eyes," my mother-in-law cooed, rocking the baby. James came out of the kitchen, carrying a bowl of soup. "I made this myself," he said, sitting next to Laura and feeding her like they were husband and wife. Her father chuckled, shaking a rattle at the baby. "She's a sweetheart, just like her dad. Thank God she didn't take after that cold Claude. Who wants a doctor for a father? That's just asking for trouble." My hand froze on the doorknob. I remembered when he first met me. He said being a doctor was noble, an honor for the family. He told me he'd once been a doctor himself, until an accident forced him to retire. But now, I was the outsider, the disappointment. I lowered my head and forced a bitter smile. I'd been married to Laura for 3 years. She always said she didn't want children. I never pushed her. I knew the risks, and I respected her choice. The day I left for my fellowship abroad, she cried, clung to me, and promised she'd wait. We called every day. Everyone said we were like newlyweds, still in love after all that time. But when I finally came back last month, she was standing outside our home, heavily pregnant and holding James's hand. My thoughts snapped back to the present as James noticed me standing at the door. "Claude, when did you get back? Why are you just standing there?" The room went silent. All eyes turned to me. Then they saw the envelope in my hand, my resignation letter. My father-in-law scowled. "Why did I ever let you marry my daughter? Now you're quitting your job. What are you planning to do? Mooch off us?" My mother-in-law jumped in. "You gave up your golden job? What kind of man does that? We've got a baby and a sick daughter to care for. Who's going to support them?" "You?" I almost laughed. "Whoever the child belongs to should be the one responsible." My words sliced through the room like a knife. "Claude, what the hell did you just say?" Laura snapped. Her face flushed red, and she started coughing, gripping her chest in pain. "If James hadn't pulled me out of that car wreck 3 years ago, I wouldn't even be here," she cried. "Now he's dying, and no one will remember him once he's gone. Why do you hate him so much? Do you think I'm disgusting just because I love him?" James gently placed a hand on her shoulder, then looked at me. "Claude, I'm sorry. I know I messed everything up. I'll stay out of your way from now on. Please, don't let me ruin your marriage." I looked around the room. 4 people, united like a family, and not one of them was standing with me. Laura's voice turned, cold. "Claude, if you ever attack James again, don't bother coming back. If you still want to be my husband, keep quiet. At the baby's full-month celebration, I'll introduce you as the father. That's my compromise." I glanced at the baby, sleeping peacefully nearby. By then, I'd be gone, on a flight out of the country. My past, left behind. But before I left, I didn't mind giving them something they'd never forget. I nodded. Okay. I didn't wait for a reaction. I turned and walked to the bedroom to pack. I didn't want to leave a single trace behind. As I folded my clothes, I heard Laura's soft voice from the living room. James, I want the baby to take your last name, even if she calls someone else Dad. She'll always know who her real father is. My hands froze. I remembered that day I returned home unexpectedly last month. I'd bought Laura a souvenir. I opened the door and saw her coming back from a walk, hand in hand with James. She looked panicked. James looked at me like I was a stranger. Before I could say anything, Laura stepped forward. This is my husband, Claude. I thought James would back off. Instead, he leaned in close and whispered, I hear you're older than me. I'll call you Big Brother. After all, the baby in your wife's belly is mine. I snapped. I punched him so hard he staggered. Rage boiled over. Months of longing, betrayal, and pain all erupting at once. If I'd had a weapon, I might have done something I'd regret. The police got involved. It was chalked up to a domestic dispute. No charges. When we got home, Laura's parents didn't ask a single question. They just yelled at me for embarrassing. Them for being violent, for throwing away my education. Turns out they'd known all along. They supported Laura and James. In just 1 year, James had replaced me. Laura tried to take my hand. Her voice trembled. I didn't mean to betray you, James. He's dying. I just wanted him to have something to leave behind. I planned to tell you when you came back. I didn't want to distract you. She looked at me hopeful. Can we raise this child together? It sounded so simple when she said it, like none of this was madness, like it was all normal. I zipped up my suitcase. That's when my mother-in-law opened the door with a fake smile. James has been using your room while you were gone, she said. We turned the study into a nursery. You can sleep on the couch or get a hotel. I was truly exhausted. I didn't have the strength to look for a hotel. I just nodded and lay down on the couch. But in the dead of night, a baby's cry cut through the quiet. I rolled over, ready to reach for earplugs. Then I heard Laura's tired voice drift from the bedroom. You need to do something about the baby, or he's going to cry all night. James's voice replied, lazy and relaxed. You're my baby. You take care of it. Let the kid cry. It's good for lung development. Laura gave a soft laugh. You're so annoying. Then the bed creaked. I pulled the blanket over my head, trying to drown out the unbearable sounds. But even with my eyes closed, I couldn't shut out the memories. The Laura I had fallen in love with used to be so gentle, so pure. I could still see her in my mind, her smile, her eyes full of trust when she first confessed to me. That version of her didn't belong to me anymore. I must have drifted into half sleep because when I opened my eyes again, it was dawn. Got up quietly, packed my things, and left the house without looking back. My first stop was the municipal office. I officially deregistered my household status and completed all the paperwork for leaving the country. With my government-issued credentials, everything went smoothly. The clerk didn't ask many questions, but just as I was about to leave, she handed me a small piece of fruit candy. May your wishes come true, she said with a kind smile. I gave a polite nod and walked out. I checked into a nearby hotel and dropped off my luggage, planning to go find something to eat. But just as I stepped outside, I ran into them, Laura, James, and their 2 children. James looked like he'd stepped straight out of a magazine. Tailored Armani suit, perfectly groomed, glowing with health. Not at all like someone who was supposed to be terminally ill. Claude, he called out like we were old friends. I thought I saw you from a distance, but Laura insisted it couldn't be you. His eyes flicked down to the recruitment flyer in my hand, and a smug smile crept across his face. You looking for a Job now. With that frail frame? What are you gonna do? Carry bricks on a construction site? I didn't say anything. The flyer had been handed to me by a girl standing out in the cold. I'd only taken it to be polite, but James didn't care. He laughed harder. If you needed help, you could have just asked. I might have given you a hand. We're family, after all. If you're doing well, Laura benefits too, right? Then I can rest in peace. Still, I said nothing. My silence seemed to fuel them. Laura, who had been quiet, suddenly frowned. Her eyes narrowed as she looked me over, full of disdain. What's the point of introducing him to anyone? He quit a great job as a doctor. Now, even if he ends up homeless, he doesn't deserve sympathy. Her voice sharpened. Claude, you're so irresponsible. Do you think acting like this will make me give up custody of the child? I stared at her face, so familiar, and now completely foreign. I remembered the early days of our marriage, back when I was struggling at work, when I talked about quitting because of office politics. She had held me close, patting my back gently. We're fine, she had whispered. Whatever decision you make, I'm behind you. Resigning isn't the end of the world. I believe in you, and I believe in our future. But the woman who once believed in me now stood beside another man and watched him humiliate me. Like those promises never existed, like none of it ever mattered. Her parents were just as cruel. I must have been blind, her father muttered. How could I have trusted you with my daughter's happiness? He paused, then added, cold as ice. Good thing we're still alive. Her mother added coldly, if we weren't here, who knows how you might have abused her. Their voices got louder, drawing the attention of passers-by. I could feel their stares, hear the whispers. My hands clenched at my sides. I was just about to say something when James stepped forward. We're headed to take a family photo, he said casually. Claude, why don't you come with us? In the future, I'll be counting on you to help take care of Laura and the kid. Before I could even respond, Laura scoffed. Look at him? Dressed like that? He'd ruin the photo. Then she turned and walked off, calling over her shoulder, Let's go, don't let him hold us up. James gave me a pat on the shoulder before following after her. I stood there watching them walk away, not angry, not sad, just nothing. To outsiders, they looked like a happy family. And if that's what Laura wanted, then maybe the only thing left for me to do was walk away. 3 days before my flight, I got a call from the hospital director. He had managed to get in touch with the cardiac specialist I'd inquired about. One of the best in the country, who happened to be in town briefly for a medical forum. He could see my father-in-law. Despite everything, I still remembered that the old man had heart issues. I had even collected case studies abroad just in case. I figured one last favor would close the chapter for good. But when I told him, his expression darkened. Why should I go to the hospital? You want me dead that badly? You had bypass surgery years ago. It's just a checkup. Preventive. Nothing serious, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Before I could finish, he hurled a water cup at me. It shattered on the floor. You think you can just call in favors from top experts now that you're unemployed? All talk. When James stayed up all night booking me appointments, where were you? His words cut deep. In his eyes, I would never be good enough. Not next to James. I took a breath, forced a smile. If you don't want to go, forget it. It's not my place anymore. The day of the baby's full-month celebration, I arrived late. The banquet hall was packed with relatives, some I barely remembered. It was more extravagant than our wedding. At the entrance, a framed photo caught my eye. Laura, James, their 2 children, and her parents. A happy family portrait. I wasn't in it. Of course I wasn't. As I walked in, whispers followed me. I didn't need to hear them clearly to know what they were saying. There, in the middle of that crowd, surrounded by warmth and laughter, was the woman who once promised me forever. Now, I was just a ghost at the edge of her new life, a silent witness to a future that had no room for me. My aunt suddenly grabbed my arm with a warm smile. Claude, when did you get back? Laura didn't say a word. She leaned in closer, her voice lowering like she was sharing a juicy secret. I heard you just returned from studying abroad and are about to be promoted to chief physician. Such a bright future ahead. I gave a polite nod, saying nothing. I could see it in their eyes. Curiosity laced with thinly veiled judgment. They'd seen the family photo at the entrance. I wasn't in it, and I wasn't the one standing beside Laura anymore. Nearby, someone, half whispered, half laughed, pointing toward the man feeding Laura dessert. Claude, who's that guy? I didn't know you had a younger brother. I smiled faintly. Laura's new husband. That one line sent a ripple through the group of aunts. Their eyes widened in collective shock before they huddled together, whispering more furiously than before. If Laura's family didn't care enough to keep things quiet, then I didn't feel obligated to cover for them either. A moment later, Laura walked up to the stage holding a microphone, beaming with practiced joy. I'm so happy to have you all here for my son's full moon celebration, she began. Honestly, I never imagined I'd become a mother. I used to think I wasn't cut out for it. But when I heard my baby cry, for the first time I realized what unconditional love truly means. Her voice trembled slightly, as if swept up in her own words. It was a touching performance. Then my aunt raised her voice. Let the baby's father say a few words. Where is he? The whole room went silent. Heads turned, first to James, then to me. The answer was obvious, but my aunt, bless her heart, still looked expectantly at Laura. I caught Laura's gaze and slowly made my way toward the stage. Her eyes widened in panic. I took the mic from her hand. What are you doing? She hissed, tugging at my sleeve. Don't say anything reckless. Claude, I'm warning you. I didn't even look at her. I gently pulled my arm free and spoke into the mic. First of all, thank you for coming today. I know many of you witnessed Laura and me getting married. You gave us your blessings and I was grateful. Deeply grateful. I glanced toward the hall entrance. Maybe you noticed the family portrait on display outside. I did too, and I was just as surprised as you. Laura's face went pale. She lunged for the mic, but I turned slightly, keeping it just out of reach. But what shocked me more, I continued, was returning from abroad to find that the woman who once promised me forever was already 8 months pregnant. Gasps swept through the room. I can't keep pretending everything is fine. Laura, let's get a divorce. I pulled out the divorce papers I'd prepared long ago and dropped them at her feet. Laura looked stunned. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the mic, trying to salvage the situation. Claude, why are you doing this? Haven't I told you, if you just let go of the past, the three of us can still have a good life together. The three of us. In her mind, I was the third wheel in their perfect little family. I'm done deceiving myself, I said quietly. Sign it. There's nothing left between us. I hope you and James are happy. She shook her head frantically. No, I won't sign it. I don't agree to this, Claude. Don't even think about it. When my lawyer first drafted the agreement, he told me I could leave her with nothing. She'd been unfaithful. I had all the proof. But I didn't want to drag this through the courts. I was leaving the country soon, so I took only what was legally mine. I asked my lawyer to donate the rest to hope schools in remote mountain areas. At least something good could come of it. The room was chaos now. People whispering, Laura's, parents trying to calm things down. I turned and walked out. Behind me, Laura handed the baby to her father and rushed to follow me. But before she got far, James suddenly clutched his chest and staggered. Laura, he gasped. I think I'm really not going to make it. Panic filled her eyes. James, hold on. I'll take you to the hospital. She could only watch. As I kept walking, my footsteps steady. I didn't look back. She thought that once the dust settled, she could talk things through with me. In her mind, as long as she didn't sign the papers, I'd still be tethered to her. But life had other plans. On the way to the hospital, her father suddenly collapsed. Too overwhelmed. Laura burst into tears. Just as they were about to wheel, Him into surgery, they ran into the hospital director and one of the top cardiologists in the country. Laura rushed up and dropped to her knees. Please save my dad. James helped me make an appointment with you before. Do you remember him? The cardiologist studied her for a moment. You're Claude's wife, aren't you? He asked. He reached out to me through the director a few days ago, asking me to check on his father-in-law's condition. I remember praising him for being so thoughtful. Laura froze. The doctor continued, but I was told it wasn't needed anymore. What happened? She was speechless. They had assumed I was incapable of contacting someone at that level, convinced James had done it all. Now, the truth hit her like a slap. The director gently pulled her aside. I'm sorry, Miss Laura. We're about to board a flight to the U.S. for a medical conference. We can't assist with the surgery, but our hospital's team is highly capable. We'll do everything we can. Later, the director told me what happened next. Laura sat outside the operating room, holding back tears. Her mother, furious, yelled at her. I told you, even if Claude was many things, he wouldn't joke about something like this. You never believed me, and now look what you've done. If your father dies, it's on you. The baby cried in her arms. Her mother, overwhelmed and annoyed, plopped him down on a plastic chair. Enough. Cry, cry, cry. Do you think you're royalty or something? But Laura wasn't listening anymore. She took out her phone and tried to call me. She probably thought, maybe, just maybe, I was the only one who could save her father. But her call didn't go through. I was already on the plane. I leaned my head against the window, watching the land fade beneath the clouds as the plane climbed into the sky. From that moment on, I no longer belonged to any one place. I was giving myself to the world. Every day in that war-torn region reshaped how I saw life. But more than anything, it solidified my purpose. I never once regretted coming here. I never regretted choosing this life, being a doctor without borders. One afternoon, as I was wrapping up a shift, a colleague burst into the room, out of breath. Someone's looking for you, he said. I barely looked up. Another patient? No. I think it's someone from back home. A woman. I froze mid-step. Laura's face flickered in my mind like a ghost I hadn't fully buried. Before I could even respond, she walked in. Claude. It's really you. Her eyes were red. She rushed toward me and threw her arms around me. Before I could react, I felt her tears against my neck. I gently pulled away, awkward, tense. In that moment, I remembered the message my lawyer had sent me just before I left the country. Our divorce had been officially filed. Whether or not she agreed, the papers had gone through, so why was she here? Laura, we're already divorced. She looked down, wiping at her eyes. I know, after you left, a lot happened. My dad, he passed away. I stared at her, stunned. I hadn't expected that. I'm sorry, I said quietly. She nodded quickly, almost guiltily. We didn't believe you back then. We thought you were bluffing, but it was James who lied. He never reached out to any specialists. My dad's condition just got worse and worse. If we'd listened to you, maybe he'd still be alive. She sank to the ground, sobbing into her hands. And though I had witnessed countless deaths since arriving here, watched people take their last breaths on the roadside, this still hit me hard. Her father had once treated me like a son. I came here to say I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't understand why you left. I didn't know you gave everything up to be here to help people. I came all this way to find you. Please, come back with me. This place is too dangerous. I've already lost my dad. I can't lose you too. I shook my head slowly. No, Laura, I'm not going back. Not now. Why not? She pleaded. Because I don't belong anywhere anymore, I said. Until the war ends, until people stop needing help. This is my home. She looked up at me, eyes wide with desperation. I know I made mistakes. I lied. I hurt you. And now I'm paying the price. James is sick, really sick. The doctors say he doesn't have much time left. Claude, how am I supposed to raise a child on my own? I pulled my hands from hers. We're divorced, I said, firm but calm. Your life, your choices, they're yours now. I have work to do. You should go home. I turned and started walking back toward the camp. Behind me, she called out, If you're staying, then I'm staying too. I'll wait here, no matter how long it takes. We can go home together after your mission. I didn't answer. But just a few steps later, I heard her pick up a phone call. What? He's gone? James is dead? I'm coming back now, wait for me. Suddenly, the deafening roar of two low-flying bombers cut through the air. I turned instinctively and yanked her to the ground. Claude, what are you? An explosion went off nearby. The shockwave rumbled through the earth. Dust rained down on us as screams filled the air. Chaos erupted around us. I ignored her shouting and scanned the area. We have to move. Get up, I said. We need to find cover. She was shaking, frozen with fear. I grabbed her arm and helped her to her feet. Am I going to die here? She whispered. No, I said. You're going home. Our team leader had arranged for a local driver to take her to the airport. The man arrived in an old, beat-up pickup, giving me a silent nod. Before she left, I slipped some cash into his hand. Make sure she gets there safe. Laura didn't say a word. She climbed into the truck, still dazed. I watched them drive off, then turned back toward the tents. One of my colleagues nudged me playfully. Hey, was that your girlfriend? She came all the way here for you. Must be true love. I shook my head, grabbing my lunchbox. She's not my girlfriend. She's my ex-wife. He blinked in surprise, but didn't say anything else. I pushed the moment out of my mind. 2 years later, an unexpected opportunity brought me back home. My understanding of medicine had deepened, and this time, I wasn't alone. I came back with someone. She was a fellow aid worker I'd met in camp. She had once thrown herself in front of me during an attack and was badly scarred. I had promised I'd stay by her side for life. Somewhere along the way, love found me again. At the airport, the former director of the Central Hospital met me in person. You've lost weight, he said warmly. Been through a lot, haven't you? His simple words hit harder than I expected. I pulled him into a hug, fighting the lump in my throat. And then, I saw her, Laura. Standing off in the distance with a little boy by her side, she looked different. Older, tired. There was no trace of the bright, confident woman I had once married. She didn't come over. She just stood there, watching. I looked back for a moment, then felt a gentle squeeze on my hand. My girlfriend had slipped her fingers into mine. Is that your ex-wife? She asked softly. Should we say hi? I shook my head. There's nothing left to say. That day at the banquet, when I walked away, our stories split for good. I climbed into the car. Later, I received a message on my new phone. Over the past 2 years, Laura had tried to contact me, but I'd changed numbers. I'd never seen the messages until now. It was just 3 words. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen for a while. Then I deleted the message, blocked the number, and tossed the old SIM card out the window. That chapter of my life was over. The pain, the betrayal, the what-ifs. I left it all behind, carried away on the wind.